As people will join, we'll start it. Okay, so hello everyone. I am Hardik Bontu. I'm the newest coach at Team Chirag. So today I will be covering the basics of how hard should you train. जिम में जाते ही हमें कितना एक्सटेंट तक हमारे बॉडी को पुश करना चाहिए and what extent we should push our body. So we'll learn that here, and it will be a very basic seminar so that everyone understands it. And I haven't used any scientific term in this, and I will be explaining it in as simple language as possible. All right, so Aniket first, right? So these are the basic points which we will cover in this seminar. And this basic point might seem new to some of you, and like some of you might have seen this in the past, but these points are important for you to understand that how hard should you really train in the gym. Okay, so the first point, as you can see here, is what is intensity. First, we'll learn what is intensity. You might have heard the word intensity, that your workout should be always intense. The next point we're going to discuss is related to that only. That is intensity important? Intensity is hyped so much into the industry. Intensity is hyped so much into the training aspect. So is it really that important? And the next, the main point of this seminar, that is how hard one should really train. And followed by how many exercise variations to do, like how many variations to do for your back exercise, for your legs, for your arms, etc. The next will be, is changing exercise every week beneficial? The variations which we change every week. Like first week we did this, for second week we did that, other exercise, etc. So is that beneficial? Is it necessary to do? And the last point will be how to get stronger on any movement. If you're wishing to get stronger on your deadlifts, if you're wishing to get stronger on your squats, if you get wishing to get stronger on your bench press. So how to get stronger on these specific movements, we'll discuss that. So let's go with the first point, that is what is intensity. So many people get the term intensity as wrong. What they think is that I will tell you first people's perspective of how intensity they look at intensity. And the chances are you might also see intensity as how many other people see. So many people see intensity as they can do a specific workout or they can do a specific type of training for a longer period of time. That is, for example, I will say they are doing shoulder presses and they have reached like 18 repetitions or even 19 repetitions. And they are pushing themselves and saying that, okay, I'm not able to push more. So this was a high intensity. But that is not completely true. As I have written here in the second point, in the third point, that lower rep sets are usually high intense. That means the less repetitions you do, not intentionally, the more intense your set is. The in bracket I have written not on purpose. What many people will do is to contradict the statement. What they will do is, okay, Hardik has said lower rep sets are high intense. Now, lower rep sets means anywhere from 1 reps to 5 or maximum 6 reps. Okay, these are considered as lower rep sets. So what many people will do is they will do 6 reps and they will be like, okay, this wasn't an high intense set. I didn't feel anything. My heart rate is normal. Everything is normal. That's why I've written not on purpose. They are doing that on purpose. They are leaving their set on rep 6 on purpose. So if you take if you take a heavy weight, for example, if you take 100 kgs of squat and you are able to do only 4 reps with it, and if you attempted the fifth rep, you failed completely. You failed completely. You fell down, or you left the bar in the middle itself, or you racked the bar. So that is considered as a high intensity set. Simple reason being you are not failing on purpose, but you are failing because of the fatigue and because your body has pushed to its limits and it cannot push more. That is, it cannot push to the fifth rep. So that is where you have stopped. That is what is called as high intensity. High intense only lasts for just an average for like 20 to 30 seconds or maximum 40 seconds, because only in 40 seconds maximum you can do 5 repetitions of squat with a heavier weight. Now for me, in my squats, you can say heavier weight for me is 100 kilos. It might be different for everyone. It is different for everyone. As I've written, intensity is subjective. It might be different for Aniket. It might be different for me. So for example, it is 150 kgs for Aniket. Aniket can do 150 kg squat with 5 repetitions. And if he attempts the sixth rep, he fails in between and he leaves the bar on the rack itself. So that was a high intense set for Aniket. High intense means putting all your efforts into that set, like maximum 100% efforts. When you do that fifth rep and you go for that sixth rep, what your muscles are doing is each and every muscle fiber is coming into the play and they are pushing the weight up. They are trying to push the weight up. They will be like here, your muscle fibers will be here. You have to reach here. They will be like, okay, let's push. And they come here and they will be like, okay, we cannot push more because energy system has ran out of energy for this current set. So then they come down and then you leave the bar there itself. But if you are all ready for the set, if you have rested enough, if you have eaten enough, eaten enough protein, your diet is on point, what your muscle fibers will do is they will come till here and the speed of your set will become slow. Then you will come slowly, and then you will complete your set, and then you will rack the bar. And then you will say, okay, this was a high intense set. Your heart rate will start going up because whenever you do a high intense set, you will notice that your heart rate goes up even if you do 3 to 4 reps because the load on your back during the squat or any other exercise. Okay, this applies to every exercise. The load on your back is too much and your body is handling it, your muscles are handling it. So for them to push from point A to point B, your body is putting 100% efforts. So intensity should be measured and is measured in terms of effort. How much effort you put in the set. The same effort doesn't go with the 18 and 20 repetition set. 18-20 repetition sets are those sets in which the weight is lighter for you. I cannot do 18 repetitions of squats with 100 kg. If I am able to do that, that weight is not high intense enough for me. I have to load the bar more. I have to do it like 120 or 120 or 120, 35 or 140 kgs for me to make it a high intense set and for me to fit it in the 3 to 6 repetitions gap range. All right. Next slide. Anil. Now the main question comes is that is intensity that important? So I'll tell you in clear terms, yes, intensity is 100% important because without intensity, you are like missing out on optimal muscle gains. Now, I'm not saying that without intensity, you cannot gain muscles. So you can gain muscles, but there are a few exceptions. Like you might gain muscles without intensity if you are a beginner, you are joining the gym for the first time, you are doing weight training in your life for the first time. And the second point, you are coming back to the training, coming back to the gym after a long gap. Like we all did after the lockdown, whoever goes to the gym, we are coming to the gym after like 5 to 6 months. And it's okay if we don't train with intensity, if we train with low to moderate intensity, still our body would catch up. Okay, that's the nature of human body. It catches up quickly. And when you are not a beginner, like when you don't fit into these two categories, that is, you're not a beginner, you're not coming to the training after a long gap, you are just a normal gym goer who is going gym since years. So your every workout should be around moderate to high intense. Okay, try not to go to low intense. I'll tell you why. What happens is that what people do is they just do exercises at a low intensity and they will be like, okay, my exercise is done and now I'm going home because my exercise is done. I have trained at low intensity. I felt that there was no need to train at moderate or high intensity because they fear that it might cause any injury to them. They are partially right here. Now the last point, as you can see, I've written, take care of overtraining too while playing with intensity. Now in overtraining, there comes a factor of injury as well. What many people might think is, okay, now we have to train with intensity, so that means always we have to train with high intensity. But that is not true. You have to keep switching between moderate level intensity and high level intensity. Okay, this is your low intensity, this is moderate level, and this is high level. So your every workout, for example, if you're doing 3 sets of squat, okay, so I would recommend to keep the last 1 set or the last 2 sets as a high intense set. Okay, I'll tell you the reason why to keep only 1 set or 2 set as a high intense set. The first set is to prepare you for the last top set which you're going to perform. Okay, like first set, if you're doing 90 kgs and you have an aim in your mind to do 120 kgs today. Okay, I'm going to do 120 kgs of high intense set. And I'm aiming to do 3 reps, but let's see how it goes. So your first set, that is, for example, per se you took first set as 90 kgs, it should be moderate intensity set. Like you are able to do 6 to 8 repetitions from it, so that you have an assurance that you will be able to do at least 3 reps with the desired weight which you have locked in your mind. That is 120 or 125 kgs. So the second set you're performing will be like 110 kgs or 115 kgs. You did the second set and now you took rest and now you're mentally prepared to do 125 kgs, that is 2 to 3 repetitions. So your last set will be your all-out efforts. Your body is giving every effort which is has in its tank. Okay, every muscle fiber of your lower body is going to push you to complete that set of squats, to complete that third rep. You did your second rep, you came down, you went up, you did your third rep, you started your third rep, you went down, you came up, up, up. The speed of your bar is becoming slow, 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 and you completed the rep, and then you racked the weight. That is a high intense set. And the reason why only one or two sets maximum should be done as high intense set is because the chances of overtraining and the chances of injuries or chances of losing your joints more happens when you train high intense every day in every set. Okay, that's why elite lifters also, myself also, what we do is we keep like first 2 sets or even first 3 sets, we keep as moderate intensity, like we are able to do nice amount of reps and our heart rate is not going crazy up, not going that up, as it will go in the last set, which we are going to do high intense. Okay. So if you're doing 4 sets of squat, try to do first 2 to 3 sets at a moderate level. Like if you're doing 10 repetitions and you stopped at 10 repetitions, you should be like, okay, I didn't push to extreme limits. I could have done more 5 to 6 reps, but I don't want to do 5 to 6 reps because I want to prepare for my highest set. I want to prepare for my high intensity set. So I just leave my weight here and that's it. So done for the point. Now, what will happen if you do the top set, if you do the 125 kg set of 3 repetitions in every set, that is in first set, in second set, in third set, and even in fourth set, you will be fatigued after the fourth set. You will be like, okay, I don't want to do any more exercises. I just want to go home. Because your central nervous system has been carrying that 125 kgs for a longer period of time. Okay, it has been carrying your weight for, it has been carrying your body weight plus the 125 kgs for a longer period of time. It has been fatigued down, your muscles have been fatigued, and you won't be able to perform better. You won't be able to perform better in the upcoming variations which you're about to do. That is your lunges, your leg extensions, whatever you have planned for the coming, like whatever you have planned for the coming exercise. Next slide, will. So now the main part comes, that is how hard should I train? So the simple answer here is in the first point itself. The aim should be always train close to failure in context of hypertrophy only. That is in context of muscle gain. If your goal is pure muscle gain and strength gains, what you have to do is you have to keep in mind you have to always train close to failure. Okay, now close to failure, what that means is what you have to do is if you're doing, well, we'll take example of squats. Okay, if 100 kgs are on your back during squats and you are doing 5 repetitions and you rack the weight. But after doing 5 repetitions, you felt that many people might relate to this. After 5 repetitions, you feel like, okay, I could have done more 2 to 3 reps or even 5 reps for that. So that is the point where you know you are underestimating yourself. When you come to know that, okay, I really underestimated myself, I could have done 5 more. That means you are 5 reps away from failure. Got my point? Now, sometimes if you say, okay, I could have done 6 more, that is you are 6 reps away from failure. Okay, so that is the calculation. We are doing it on a scale of 0 to 10. Now if you would have said that, okay, I might have done 2 reps more, that means you are 2 reps away from failure. Now away from failure, what that means is if you could have done those 2 reps, okay, now if you have attempted the third rep, you would have failed. It had your every muscle fiber in your lower body would have pushed that weight up. It would have tried to push that weight up, but since your muscles are fatigued for that set, your muscles would have left the bar there and there itself, and you wouldn't be able to complete that particular rep. That is the 11th rep, or that is the, going beyond failure rep. You might have been able to do that rep with a spotter behind you, like he is giving you support and you're completing the rep. But that is not at all optimal because your muscles have fatigued, your muscles have given up. It's just that the spotter is helping you to take that weight up. Okay. So the golden tip here is to always train close to failure in context of hypertrophy. Okay. From a hypertrophy point of view, try to train like 2 to 3 reps close to failure. If you're doing dumbbell overhead press and you did like 8 repetitions and you left it, and you be like, okay, I could have done 3 more. Okay, then leave it there and then. Your set was wonderful, perfect. Now, what happens is that many people underestimate that how much hard they can train, and training close to failure and training to failure, as I've written in the third point, are completely two different things. Okay, they are like two different things. Now, training close to failure is that always training close to failure, and after that failure rep, you're not able to do any more reps, as I explained in the previous point, that you're not able to do further more reps, and your muscles have just given up. Now, if you remember from the first slide, what that will do is that will create fatigue in your muscles. You might not be able to perform the further exercises. That will create fatigue in your CNS, and you might feel a little foggy. Okay, if the weight is too high for you, okay, subjective, it's subjective. If the weight is too high for you and the load is too much for you. Now, research has shown that research was interesting on this. Research has shown that training close to failure, that is 2 to 3 reps close to failure, plus training to failure, has been shown to give like exact benefits. Not really identical, like 100% identical, but like 90 to 99% similar. So what we can do is, what we can learn from this is, we should really train close to failure. You can go to failure, but not that often. Okay, you can go like once in a month, or once in 6 to 7 or even 8 weeks, you can perform a failure set on any exercise which you like. That will be completely fine, because a gap of 1 or 2 months between failure sets make sure that your CNS is well preserved for that failure set. Now, what will happen if you do failure sets every day is that you will be left fatigued. You won't be able to do any other activity throughout the day. You will be like, okay, I don't want to do this right now. I'm feeling fatigued. I'm feeling tired. That might be because you are training till failure every day at the gym. So that is one thing you need to avoid often. You can perform it like once in 6 to 8 weeks. You can perform one failure set, 1 or 2 failure set, depending on how your exercise programming is allowing you. Rest, what you have to do is, in every exercise, from a hypertrophy muscle gain point of view, keep training close to failure. Okay. I'll give you one more example. If you are able to do 15 repetitions with 10 kgs, okay, in shoulder presses, and you left it at 15 kgs, and you will be like, okay, I wasn't even close to failure. I was 8 to 10 repetitions far from failure. I could have done 8 to 10 reps more. Then that weight is too light for you. You have to jump on the weight. You have to go for like, you might go for even 22.5 kgs, or you might go for 25 kgs. If you went for 25 kgs, you did 10 repetitions and you went for 11th, and in 11th repetitions, your hand started shaking. But anyhow, you completed the rep, and you took it down and you wrapped it, and you said to yourself, okay, I could have done 2 more repetitions on my own. That's it. You trained 2 reps close to failure. Now, if some other person was there, he could have said, okay, I could have done 3 reps more. Then that's it. You trained close to failure. You trained 3 reps close to failure. That is how you need to train close to failure, to make sure you are not missing out on maximal muscle gains. This is what you call as training with higher force. Next slide, Nidhi. Now, as I said, many people, what they do is, 90% of the people, they don't train hard at the gym. They only think that they are training hard at the gym, but that is definitely not the case. Elite lifters also, like elite powerlifters, elite athletic people, what they do is they underestimate themselves a lot. Even me, I have been training for like 4 years in weight training. I also underestimate myself a lot in the weight room. I take like 25 kgs of dumbbell. If I am able to do over shoulder presses, I did 10 repetitions and I left it for any reason. And I will be like, okay, I underestimated myself. I could have done 4 more. So that is completely fine. It takes months and months and sometimes even years to gauge that how much far we are from failure. You won't believe, but right now at this stage of my training career, I am also figuring out. It takes time to figure out on different exercises, on how much repetitions, how much load, how much fatigue will it take to train close to failure. That is the reason this point is there, that how many variations to do. Now, this is a very subjective question, as you might ask. Like, many people have huge arms, they have long arms, they have long limbs, they have long legs, they have broad shoulders, they have like a broad chest and everything. So people with people with long limbs and long arms will require more sets, will require more variations than people who have short arms, who have short limbs, who have a narrow structure. Simple reason, to fill out a structure which is long, which is very big, you require many variations to target that muscle, to give stimulus to that muscle, okay, to train that muscle. Now, if someone who is short, like 5 feet or so, and who is very narrow, he will require, for example, I'm taking just an example, he will require anywhere from 6 to 8 sets per week for his shoulders to grow, like for a starting point, as we start the calories. For starting point, he might require only 6 to 8 sets per week. From there, he can always build to the upward side, but he cannot come down from the upward side to lower side. That he started from 15 sets per week, then he can come down. That will not be optimal from a muscle gaining point of view. So he can always start from the lower end, that is 6 sets per week for chest, and then he can go upwards. If he did 6 sets per week for like say 8 weeks, and he saw tremendous gains in it, okay, keeping in check that his diet, his training, his diet, his rest, his supplementation, everything was on point. So he saw that, okay, I can see gains in this. So now I shall try to increase the number of sets, increase the number of variations. Okay, I will put one more variation of 3 sets. So he jumps from 6 sets per week to 9 sets per week, and he added one more variation. So you have to experiment on yourself. You have to do a trial and error on yourself, that how much variations can my body handle. Most of the times what happens is that people just keep on adding variations, they just keep on adding variations, and they end up losing energy, they end up making themselves fatigued. And if two variations are still remaining in their workout, they will be like, okay, two more variations are remaining, I didn't know that, because I am already fatigued by doing 5 variations or even 6 variations. I don't think I can do any more variation. So that's the point where you know that you are not training with effort. Like I explained in the previous slide, that you are not training close to failure. You are just training at a low intensity, and you are just training for the sake of it. Okay, this is purely from a muscle gaining point of view. All right. So you are just training for the sake of it. If you could have trained with high efforts, if you could have trained close to failure, then I guarantee you only 3 to 4 variations is enough for a majority of the people, okay, who have like normal levels, normal length of limb, normal length of arm. Now, my arm length is too long. I am 6'1", my arm length is too long, my limb length is too long. So that's why I require 1 or 2 sets more than like moderate amount of population, like the normal general population. I require 1 or 2 sets more. Now, those 1 or 2 sets which I'm adding should be high efforts, should be like I'm training close to failure. Otherwise, it's like I'm missing out on optimal gains, as I explained in the second slide. You will be missing out on optimal gains if you're not training with high efforts. So, as you can see, the fourth point, enough variations should be done to target every muscle group which you're training. As I said, long limb, long arms will require many variations, like they might require 3 to 4 variations, but on the other hand, a person who is opposite of him might require only 2 to 3 variations. So there will always be a gap of 1 or 2 or even more variations, and it's very subjective. It also depends on your goal. Like if your goal is pure strength based, you just have to increase your strength, and the next goal will be you have to just increase your muscle gains and etc. So it will depend on which goal you choose to be. Next slide. Aniket. Now, which this comes the point, this takes us to the point, that is changing exercise every week beneficial? You all might have seen many trainers on the gym floor or many people in the gym. What they do is they try to change the exercise variation, they try to change the exercise every week. Now, talking from my personal experience and from what I've learned from the experts, from what I've learned from the coaches on Instagram and other webinars I've attended of coaches, the answer is no. And there is a very logical answer, there is a very smart answer behind it. You cannot get stronger on one movement if you keep on changing it. I'll give you an example. The first week of exercise you do, like I have given you front squats, okay, in the week one, and you have never done front squat in your life, okay, you have never done front squat. The entire 1 week for you will go into learning that movement, okay. You did front squat for 2 times per week, okay. You did it on Monday and you did it on Thursday. But on the coming Monday, I'm changing your exercises and I'm expecting you to do front squat in the fourth week. You won't be able to do. Simple reason being because you have only done front squat for 2 times in the week one. You haven't been doing it repeatedly so that you can master that movement. So one golden point is here is that if you want to master any movement, you have to do it repeatedly, just like any other thing which we do in life. You want to learn driving, you just drove on day one, you just learned on day one, and then you're doing it after 8 months or 9 months, you won't be able to drive. You have to do that thing repeatedly. Same goes with studying. If you are studying first chapter only once and you expect your mind to remember for the next 8 months, that is simply not going to happen. You have to repeatedly keep on learning it. You have to repeatedly keep on learning it. Same goes with every other thing in our life, like riding a bike, driving a car. And also, an example I can give you of a pilot. If you give a pilot a flight to fly, okay, so he just did his job on the week one, and you give him a rest for 12 weeks, and then you cannot expect him to fly a flight on the week 13 because he doesn't have the practice to do it. He is not used to doing that. So it applies to like every aspect of our life that you cannot get stronger on any variation if you keep changing it often. So the goal here is to not change exercise every week. Okay, because one of the reasons is also your muscles demand repetitive stress. That in front squat, what happens is that mostly your quads are getting trained, your thigh muscles are getting trained. So you might get a good amount of tension on your quads, and the next week you are changing the exercise so that tension might completely go away because you are changing it with like a goblet squat or even a free barbell squat which you are doing. So the tension which you are getting from front squats, you might not get from the back squat, and you might not get from the dumbbell goblet squat which you are doing. It totally depends on how your squatting style is. It totally differs from person to person. And the last point, as I explained, that you might miss on the stress that specific variation is giving you. That front squat is giving mostly on your thigh muscles, or depend on how you do your front squat. And the back squat is mostly giving it on your thigh muscles as well as your glute muscles. Again, depends on how your squat style is. Like, do you sit upright or do you bend yourself and sit? It will depend on how you do your exercises, how you do it in style. Okay, next slide. Anil. Now, the main point of all that is above intensity and everything, how to get stronger on any movement. Majority of the people have a goal that I have to get stronger on squats, I have to get stronger on front squats, I have to get stronger on deadlift, I have to get stronger on bench press, I have to get stronger on shoulder press. Be it any exercise, the only way to get stronger on any movement is by doing that specific movement again and again, as I explained with examples in the previous slide. That's why I made y'all ready with examples in the last slide so that you can understand this slide like quite easy. Okay, to do a movement again and again, the only goal here is to make your brain used to that movement. Because once you do that movement like twice or thrice a week, and you keep on doing it for like 12 weeks, you keep on doing it for 12 weeks, and now your brain is completely familiar with that movement. Now, even if you go under the bar, we'll take example of squat. Even if you go under the bar, you place the bar on your back and you go up and down. You go down and up, then down and up, then down and up. Your mind is now familiar with the movement. Your mind will be now okay. this weight is now too light for me. Keep on loading the weight. Simple reason being because now I'm used to the movement. But if you are not at all used to a movement, okay, you have been squatting your entire life, but you haven't been squatting front squat. You haven't been doing front squat for your life. Okay. And suddenly in the week 13th, I give you front squat. You won't be able to do it with the same load which you're doing with the back squats. You won't be able to do it with 100 kgs. You will have to start with an empty barbell. Okay. With like 10 kgs of barbell or like 20 kgs of barbell. Simple reason being your mind has to register this movement first. That is the point which you can see in the last slide. Can I get last slide, please? That is the point which you can see. Last point. Loading of weight starts when you get used to the movement and not vice versa. When first you get used to the movement, when your mind gets used to the movement, you can remember the day one of your gym. You didn't go to like 15 kgs dumbbell straight away, 20 kgs dumbbell straight away to do dumbbell press. You start from 1.5 or even 2.5 kgs. Your mind first says, okay, let me register this movement first. Okay, what is this movement? Okay, you just have to go up, you just have to go down. In the ear level, you have to go up and then you have to come down. Okay, got it. Now, when your mind will register this, your mind will be like, okay, now this weight is too light. Now let's start loading on this. Then you load, then you come from 2.5 kgs to you come to 5 kgs, then you are doing 5 kgs. Then your muscle, your mind and your muscle will be like, okay, now this weight is too light for me. Let's jump to 7.5 kgs. Let's jump to 10 kgs. Let's jump to 12.5, 15, 17.5, 20, etc. etc. It keeps on going. So as your body adapts to this certain weight, that is it has adapted to 5 kgs. Now it will demand more weight, it will demand more load, it will demand 7.5, etc. So that is how your body keeps on adapting to the different weight and the different tension you give to it. That is one miraculous thing about our body, is that it will always tell you when to lower the weight and when to load the weight higher. Okay. Now, as I said in the examples, it's just like studying, and even sports players you see, even elite Olympic lifters, what they do is they practice whole year long just for those 20 seconds on the stage, just for those 20 or 30 seconds on the stage to do that weightlifting part. Okay, now this applies to every sport. Even Michael Phelps, what he does is that his swimming routine lasts for like maximum 2 minutes or 1 minute. But for that, he trains 365 days a year. 365 days a year, his training goes into it because he has to master those 2 minutes. He has to master those 120 seconds. So for him to master it, he has to keep on doing that specific movement. He has to keep on doing that specific protocol again and again. If you don't do it again and again, you might miss on the chances of getting stronger on any movement. Once your mind gets fixed on this, okay, once I have to do only squat, I have to do this movement, I have to do in this speed, then you can 100% start loading your bar, and then you can go from 5 kgs to 50 kgs, then to 100 to 150 to 120. It is a craft like this. It will take months. It will take months to master any movement because it requires a lot of patience, and also keeping in mind whatever I spoke here, keeping in mind your diet is on point, your supplementation, if required, is on point, and your rest is on point. If any of these, like your sleep and your diet, is not on point, it can show on your performance. It can lead to temporary decline in your performance. You can see, like, for example, you will be like, okay, last week I was able to do 10 repetitions with 100 kgs. Let's see how much I can do. You go, you do your set, and you will be like, okay, I was able to do only 5 repetitions this time. Why? Then you can think, okay, did I sleep correctly for the last few nights? Did I hit my protein intake for the last few days? Or did I eat enough calories for the last few days? Am I taking a lot of stress? Am I overtraining myself? Etc. So these points are important to consider before you jump to any conclusion that why am I not progressing? Okay, so these are some of the basic pointers you need to keep in mind, that how hard should you really train. So I'll just give a glimpse. I'll just give a glimpse of the main pointers, is that you have to train 2 to 3 reps close to failure, max to max 4 reps shy to failure in like the lower cases. You have to, you can train with high intensity. You can train to failure, but not too often, like once in 6 to 8 weeks. And for you to get stronger on any movement, you have to do it repeatedly, like at least 2 times a week. And you don't need to change variations every week because you cannot get stronger on a movement which you change every week. Keep the same variations for like 6 to 8 weeks, or even for 12 weeks, you can keep it. And then if you want, you can change it, but not completely. You can change like one or two variations from each body part, and then you can keep rotating it. There is no need to change all the exercises like total upside down. You don't have to change, you don't have to do that. You can even change one or two variations and then you're good. So that was it. That was the basic seminar on how you should train, how hard should you train. So any questions anyone has, so you can ask me right now. I'll try to answer as well as I can. Any questions, anyone?
Okay, I do have one question. So,
Yeah, Santosh.
like you said, we have to train till failure, right? The thing is, the reps. So, is it to be constant or is it to be changing as per the set? Because we are having more heavy dumbbells, and then so it might be reduced or it might be equal.
Okay. So the number of repetitions when you are doing a set close to failure or even to failure will vary tremendously. Okay. Now we'll take an example. If you are doing your third set as failure, third set of squat as failure, but the first two set you did on moderate intensity and you were able to do 12 repetitions in first set, you were able to do 12 repetitions in second set with 100 kgs. Okay. Now you are attempting a failure set on 110 kgs. So you have increased the load already. Okay. So that is where your repetitions will go down. It will be anywhere around, I can't say the exact number of reps, but if you just want a number, it can be anywhere around 6 to 10. Plus, you have decided to go on failure on this set. Okay. 110K. Now it will totally depend on how much rest you have took. But yeah, the number of repetitions will definitely be different from the first main set, and it's completely fine. What you can do is keep a goal in mind that okay, on the failure set, I was able to do only 4 repetitions. So the next time when I will attempt the failure set, I will try to do more than 4 repetitions. So that is how you will know that you have progressed. So yeah, the number of repetitions will always be different, and that is not a concern. That is completely fine. Number of repetitions will be different, and it's completely fine.
Okay, so let's suppose today I have done 45 kg 4 reps, right? So next week I have to
Okay.
increase to 45 kg 4 reps, or 45 kg, oh, sorry, 50 kg 4 reps, or 45 kg 8 reps.
Yeah, you if you're training close to failure and not failure, you have to keep in mind to increase the repetitions first. Okay, bring it in the gap of like 8 to 10 repetitions.
Okay,
Okay, bring it in the gap of 8 to 10 repetitions, and when you hit that 10 rep mark or when you hit that 11th rep mark, you will know okay, I'm able to do 11 reps easily on 45 kgs. That means I can at least do 5 reps on 50 kgs. Understood?
okay,
Then
got it.
you
Yeah.
increase the load. Okay, this applies to every exercise you do. Okay, you once you hit that 10 or 12 repetition mark, you know that okay, I can easily do 10 repetitions. So if I increase 5 kgs more, I will be able to do at least 5 repetitions with it. Then this cycle keeps on going. That is how I personally do my training.
Okay, so and variations 3 to 4 is fine. Like I used to see the culture at the gym. So they have a arms day, they have a legs day. But what I
Yes.
see in my training program, this totally changes. I have back and shoulders, 2 exercises of back, 2 of shoulders, or maybe chest and shoulders some days, or maybe just the legs. So how it works?
Okay.
Do I have to follow those on the diet regime, diet and exercise regime, or
You can follow this current regime which you have, that is back and shoulders. You have to do two exercises, right? In each.
right?
Yeah, you can do that and try to train every set with effort. Okay, because you have less amount of variations. That is one good thing. You are not overtraining. So try like if you're doing 3 sets in each variations, try to do the last 2 sets with like high efforts. Leave 2 to 3 reps close to failure, and then you will see good amount of gains if your diet and everything is on point.
Okay. And then what should be the gap between the load? So is 5 lbs difference is fine in each set, or it should be 10 lbs?
It will totally depend on how much stronger you're feeling that day. Okay, because you might not feel stronger linearly. If you haven't been sleeping well for the last few nights or even for the last night, your training session might get suffered. Okay, so what I would recommend is that always go for minimum loading. Okay, if your gym has 2.5 kg of plates, always put 2.5 kgs instead of putting 5 kgs first. Okay, always start with the lower end, progressing.
Mhm. Okay.
If you are keeping in mind that okay, I can do 5 kgs, but still keep it 2.5 kgs just for safety purposes, then again you can increase it in the future. That is not a problem. But always start from the lower end.
Okay. Yep. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. So, any more questions, Sumit? Do you have any
No,
questions?
I think this is really for professionals. I'm the more into 2 kgs, and I mean, you are into 50 and 100 kgs. So I don't think I'm even capable of asking you any
No,
questions.
those were just example. Like for you, per se, 2 kgs you train from 2 kgs to 5 kgs. You can even go to 5 kgs, and then you can see how much you can do, and then you can always progress from this. These were just the numbers which I discussed. You can always start from 2 kgs. You can see how it goes for you, how easy it is for you. If you are able to do it
Okay,
easily,
okay. Then let me ask you. You see, I have been doing, 2 kgs for the past maybe 8 to 9 weeks.
okay.
So, and
And
I
how
still
much repetitions?
about 10 minimum of 10 repetitions, 8 to 10 I do, and I'm able to
Okay.
do them. And slow, as you had mentioned, that the intensity uh,
Yes.
would be affected if you do it slowly. So I have been able to do them slowly,
Okay.
but I really do not know the stage at which I need to increase and how much increase
How
should
much
be
increase?
there.
Okay. Okay. Now, when you do 10 repetitions with 2 kgs, do you feel like you could have done more repetitions?
See, like, when I'm doing the dumbbell fly, it is tough even with 2 kgs. When I'm doing the dumbbell presses lying down, then
Yes.
it's not a problem. So, therefore, it also would depend on what I'm doing.
What exercise? Correct, correct. 100% correct.
Yes.
So I'll just give you a tip here. In the exercises which you feel like you could have done more than 10 repetitions, okay, like you could have done 15 or even 20 repetitions, what you can do there is you can increase the load by 0.5 kgs or by 1 kgs, keeping it at minimum. What is the minimum load you can increase? Like if you're doing your floor presses, like you're doing your pressing exercises with 2 kgs and you are able to do 10 repetitions easily. And after the set, you be like, okay, I could have done 5 more. Then if you have 3 kg dumbbell at your place, please go for 3 kgs. Then that is one sure thing that you might be able to do at least 6 repetitions with those 3 kg dumbbells. Okay. Then what you do is you do for 6 repetitions with 3 kgs. Then in the coming sessions, you improve on the repetitions. Like from 6, you go to 8, then you try to do 10, then you try to do 12, then you try to do 15. Once you reach that 15 repetitions or 12 repetitions benchmark, then again you can increase the weight to from 3 to 4 kgs. That is how you can keep on loading. If you have like 3.5 kg dumbbells, 4.5 kg dumbbells each hand, then you can do like that also.
Oh, yeah, thanks. Yeah, I get
Yes,
it.
you can always keep on loading like this. Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, so I think that's all.
I think just one more thing. So, like you
Yeah,
said,
yeah.
we need to increase load, right? Every week
Yes.
progressively, depending on the reps. Now, what if the form is I mean, it's
Yeah.
not good, or
Now you have to keep in mind that every week you won't be able to increase progressively overloading in terms of only load. Okay, that is most important is that you have to record your sets. Okay, now if you are doing like 45 kgs of squats for the first time and if you're aiming 10 repetitions but you did only 6 reps, just make sure that you are recording that set. Now in next session, if you're able to do 45 kgs squat with 15 repetitions, as you know that if you hit that 15 repetitions benchmark, you have to increase the weight. But before increasing the weight, just look at your form. Your first priority should be to always clean up your form. Okay, but if your form is not clean, if your form is not clear, you might not be able to perform optimally on 50 kgs of squat or even on 4 kgs of chest press goes for Sumit. Okay, you can first see how your form is going. And if your form is completely fine, if your form is completely perfect, you're getting a thumbs up from your coach, then you can increase it. And when you increase the load in any exercise, you just record that set again. And then you see it, okay, where am I going wrong? Okay, should I send this to coach? Then he will assess it, he or she will assess it. Okay, my coach said thumbs up. Then I can start building on repetitions on that movement. Like I did only 6 repetitions, then I can do 8, then I can do 10, then I can do 12. Then you just record it. What happens with recording is that you have an accountability of how you are actually performing, because we cannot just look in the mirror and do exercise and then gauge our form and then rate our form, because that is very destructive. We मैं मिरर में देखूं या फिर मैं मेरे खुद के एक्सरसाइज पे ध्यान दूं to assess the form. So best is to record your form, record on your mobile or anything which you like,